Oh my gosh. You don't say it so much. I don't even know what to cover first. Um, Dang. I am gonna say that you're being a little bit too deep, just a little bit too deep, and I know that because shoot, I've, I've been lifting myself up out of, of the deep end, so to speak, gradually, and getting my balance and all that type of stuff. But yeah, like I mean, girl, it is constantly going to be a balancing act because as you get that balance, sometimes you can go back to the other extreme, and they'll try to make you go back to the other extreme, which ain't all the way good either. But finding that middle ground, that's the difficult part. Um, but yeah, girl, yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. You're a married woman, and for that reason, you don't want to attract the attention of other males. But, you know, putting it a bit into perspective, the fact that you were attractive is what attracted your husband. So that means that other men will be attracted to you, regardless of what you do. So you don't have to technically do anything to cause them to look at you a certain type of way. Whether that be a lustful look or just a look of appreciation for your aesthetic beauty that God has given you. That's just the fact of the matter. So that ought to put you at ease. That it doesn't really matter what you do. Yeah, you can do some things. We have deliberate actions that we can take that would draw people to us, in an enticing fashion that could be lustful, But it's not always that. It's innocent stuff. So don't let what could happen, take away from who you are. You know what I'm saying? Your personal freedom. And you as a woman, your femininity. Don't feel guilty about that. Please don't. Please don't. Um, yeah, if your husband think you're sexy and certain stuff and he wants you to look a certain way, or whatever, even if you want to surprise him, or even if you like something that you're wearing, um, go ahead. Go ahead. If it's not revealing, and if it's not the intention of your heart to show everything you got, if your heart is pure, you are good. You are good. Enjoy what you wear. Enjoy how you look in it. Enjoy, your natural beauty. Enjoy little glitz and glam makeup here and there. And enjoy how your husband feels about that. What he thinks of you because of that. And let him enjoy other men, giving credence, saluting him for what he was able to gain. Shoot, you're not just a prize to him. Other men gonna see that you a prize too. And it can be a beautiful thing. It don't have to be a bad thing. That's something somebody taught me as well. You hit the nail on the head. It's your femininity, honey. And getting completely comfortable with it. Like what you was saying that other week when you was talking about the deliverance sessions with your husband, about touching your face and, the features that he likes about you. It goes hand in hand. Yeah. Um, and then with what you were saying about your body changing and stuff, and people bringing attention to that, how you didn't want to think on those type of things that they were saying. You didn't want to entertain them talking about you thick and all that type of stuff because in a sense it reinforces the false idea that the enemy planted into you that skinny was somehow ugly, and that the reverse of that would be thick is beautiful. And now that you are thick, you're beautiful. That's a lie. You've been beautiful the whole time. It's just the enemy wanted you to believe otherwise, you know? So that body image thing, that's something to consider. As far as going deeper into the psychological aspect of why the enemy had you to believe what you believed, you know, examining what all you believed about that in the first place. You know, I had the same, what's the word? Oh man. I mean, I can't think of the word right now, but I have had the same struggles being skinny, you know. And I was just talking about that to my friend Candace about certain things that made me uncomfortable nowadays in comparison to how I used to feel back in the day due to my size. Like the men now at the job giving attention to me, bringing attention to my size now after I've been in the house cooped up for like 5 years, ain't had that male attention. And how my body is not the same now as it was 5 years ago. And I see it as a bad thing because I felt I looked better back then because I had more weight that I did lose back in 2015 in certain areas of my body. But just in comparison for certain men to talk about me now in a complimentary way, knowing how I used to look before and the attention that it used to grab before, which was a whole lot more. It makes me uncomfortable now because I know that it wasn't good attention back then. Although it gave me mixed feelings, it made me feel good, like my ego and also my sense of worth. I was deriving it from that type of attention because I felt like I lacked, you know. So for people to tell me, for people to have been talking about me being skinny in a bad way, and then for men to come back, you know, and talk about, you know, certain parts of my body that they admired and all that type of stuff, how they were attracted to me, and they made it known by sexually harassing me. That was the norm back then. Not a good thing, but it did something to my self-esteem. Like making up for the fact that I'm skinny. Now I'm good enough because I have a shape and men like it. Knowing that that was not a good thing back then, and that I've been through a transformation over these few years and stuff. The fact that certain men have given attention to my body now is like I said, it makes me uncomfortable because I'm like, first off, you shouldn't even be looking at me in that type of way. But the fact that you are noticing, it's like, I can't do anything about that because it's not something that I'm doing that's drawing you to me. But at the same time, it's like, I know if you're looking at me now, you sure would have been looking at me then. Because I had more weight then. I was curvier then. I was more toned then. But the fact of the matter again is not 100% positive positive feedback or positive attention. So it's not welcome. But I definitely understand, you know, where you're coming from in that sense. It's like the battle between discerning your true beauty from people's perception, their personal idols of beauty. Yeah. their vain imaginations. Yeah, but we definitely can be beautiful without any type of manipulation, without anybody sounding off on our beauty as legit or not. You know what I mean? Simply because we're God's daughters, and godliness is beautiful. Let your beauty be a blessing. Um, and an example that came to me, thank you, Lord, was Sarah. You know how the Bible speaks on how beautiful Sarah was. So much so that Abraham was afraid that, the kings whose lands he was passing, sojourning through, that they would kill him to have her as a wife. She was that bad. But how the Lord worked it to where not only his life would be spared, but for what could have happened, in them, by them perceiving her beauty, that he would make up for that in blessing him manifold with different types of possessions and whatnot. Like what your mother-in-law was saying, those type of things, getting favored by men, you know, that's what just happened with Sarah. But Abraham, and guess what? The Lord willed it, and he allowed them, to get into a situation like that, to be set up to be blessed. And so it was an outflow of his own blessings. And there was no impurity that took place for them to, receive those rewards. So yeah, Sarah benefited from it. Her husband benefited from it. And it wasn't a bad thing. So it would be different if, a man bought you some or gave you some with intentions of sleeping with you. That king's intentions was no longer to sleep with her. But if the intentions are not there, and it's just appreciation for you as a woman, no harm, no foul. So yeah, men are gonna do that. Shoot, enjoy it. Let your husband enjoy it, because again, it's just the fact that you are his reward. What is it? It's in the Proverbs about the Proverbs 31 woman. That's the characteristic of a woman of God, a woman that fears the Lord. It's just one of those that even the husband is honored. The husband is known. He's praised and all that type of stuff because of her godliness and everything that God has given her, as a woman that just, I guess, puts the icing on the cake. Oh. But anyway, I was gonna say something else. Hold on a second, because it's on my computer. Yeah. Your own personal style. If it ministers, let it minister. Like you were saying about um certain people that's taking notice of you now with all the extra that was done. You felt like was extra. Is that gonna bring them to Christ? For some, no. They just like it. For others, it may be so. You know, so your appearance is just another avenue to reach different sets of people. You don't have to be vain. It don't have to be that. Hold on a second. Yeah. You don't have to go over the top if that's what you're thinking. You can just do a little extra. That's all. Just a little extra. Whatever you comfortable with. Um, some people may want to see you relate to them in a different way. That's all. Because, with us getting detached from the things we consider to be worldliness and all that, when we have our intentions right, you know, we can go back into those things without it, you know, without it being a bad thing anymore. Without it being something that takes us away from God. Because that's where I'm at too. For instance, me getting heels again, that's a big deal. I remember I had a dream over the time frame that I had, discarded all of my heels and my scantily clad wardrobe and my accessories and all of the extra, you know, for the sake of embracing my femininity without all the frills and embracing my God-given beauty, you know, without any influence from society. I had a dream that I had been on a bus with the neighborhood kids from like middle school and high school and stuff. And then we were going somewhere. This might have been two separate dreams. I don't know. But then we were in a building and I had on heels and I had been preaching to them. They were listening to me. At first I was talking about music and I was giving my testimony about how I use it to worship God. And I was speaking something against secular music at first. That was the bus situation. But then when we got to the building, the subject changed. I was preaching on some real stuff in the middle of the crowd. And these were faces that were familiar to me, people I had grown up with, and I had on heels. I got out of that dream. I woke up from that dream, and all I could think of was the fact that I had on heels. And I'm like, oh no, that ain't gonna be me. No. Oh, that's not God. But I missed the fact that people were listening to me. That I had gained the ears of people that were thugs and promiscuous and, the baby mamas, the baby daddies, all these type of people that I knew. And they were looking at me and they were attentive to my words. And I gave them the word of God. The heels didn't matter. It was my idea of them. So with that being changed, I don't think that's a problem anymore. Because the issue has been resolved. And it's the issue of, my heart that continually needs to be crucified. Not so much the material things. So yeah. If that right there and my attention to detail with my own personal style, if that is what attracts certain people, which it does, it's okay for me to get back to myself. Because me getting rid of everything and, that wasn't exactly me. But that was part of the process to get to where I'm at now and where I'm trying to be with this whole balance thing. So it's always going to go back to the heart. How we can judge a thing as godly versus ungodly. Edifying versus unedifying. I'm just simply praying not to allow vanity to take over me. That's all. And my friend Candace commented on that too. She was like, "Ooh, bring it back. Bring it back. Wasn't nothing wrong with the old you. It was just this and that. It was where you was heading if you didn't if you didn't stop." She reminded me of you if you weren't saved. She kept saying it. If you weren't saved, that's you. That's you. And I'm like, "Oh, please don't tell me that because you're making me feel bad about the old self. Even though I ain't the old self no more. But dang, that's Thank you for deliverance." But yeah, girl. Even my friend commented on that. So I know there is ministry in being yourself. Whatever that is. That's why it pays to know your true self. To journey through it with the Lord. So that, you know who you are. You know what you like, what you dislike, what makes you, and from that place of truth, you can minister in the fullness of His Spirit, and your life is worship. That's where I aim to be. That's what I want. So girl, go on through it. Go on through it. Whatever you got to do to embrace it all, with no shame, no remorse, just being you. I'm going to show you my shoes real quick. I ain't getting no stripper shoes no more. That ain't me. That's not me. Got these. You can't really see them well. It don't do it justice, this light. Let me turn on more lights. Got these. It's sort of sparkly. I got the zipper back. I got those. And I got these sophisticated pumps. They color blocked. Then I got the ones my friend Candace had gave me. These was my first heels coming out of the wilderness. And from there I've been buying my own again. Can't really see it well. They look better on. than just showing you them by themselves. Definitely look better on. That's all my heels for now. The rest is flats. Nothing really fancy. Don't really feel like showing my flats. It's the heels. It's really like a big deal now, getting those back. That's just my tennis shoes and sneakers and Oxford type stuff. That's it, girl.